If you've been gardening long enough, you know most miracle soil hacks don't survive a full season. This one does, and it works whether you're growing in containers on a balcony, raised beds in the backyard, or directly in the ground. Before we go further, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below sharing what you grow most, because this is one of those techniques that changes how you build soil permanently, not temporarily. Let's get straight into it, because this is practical gardening, not theory. This soil trick is about building a living moisture layer instead of feeding plants directly. Most gardeners focus on feeding plants, but plants don't eat fertilizer. Soil life does. The trick is creating a thin, active, moisture-holding biological layer that stays alive year-round. When that layer exists, roots naturally grow into it, nutrients cycle on their own, and watering becomes less frequent. This works in pots, raised beds, and yards because the principle is the same everywhere. Media group, raised bed garden with moist mulched soil, healthy potted plants with visible soil layers, backyard garden beds with thick mulch, and thriving plants. Stock distribute equally, protect moisture, feed microbes, and let roots follow biology. The core of this method is a simple layered approach using compost, carbon material, and moisture control. You are not digging deep or turning soil. You are building upward and letting soil organisms do the work. This starts with compost, but not the way most gardeners use it. Compost is often mixed in or buried. That's a mistake. Compost works best when it sits near the surface, where oxygen and moisture meet. For pots, this means adding a 1 to 2 centimeter layer of finished compost on top of the soil, not blended in. For raised beds, aim for 2 to 3 centimeters. For yards, even 1 centimeter spread evenly is enough. The compost must be finished, dark and crumbly. If it smells sour or looks chunky, let it mature longer. This surface placement allows bacteria and fungi to activate immediately. Roots will grow upward toward it instead of downward searching for nutrients. This layer stays active because carbon locks in moisture and feeds microbes slowly. On top of the compost, you add a thin carbon layer. This can be dry leaves, shredded cardboard, straw, dried grass clippings that are completely brown, or wood shavings that are not treated. The ratio matters. For every 1 part compost, use 2 parts carbon by volume. In a 10-litre pot, this might look like 1 handful of compost spread flat and 2 handfuls of shredded dry leaves placed loosely on top. In a raised bed, for every bucket of compost, use 2 buckets of carbon material spread evenly. In a yard, after composting, lightly cover the area so the soil is shaded but not smothered. Carbon prevents the compost from drying out, slows nutrient loss, and, well, it feeds fungi. Fungi are the real long-term soil builders, especially for perennials and fruiting plants. Watering activates the system, but timing is what really makes it work. After layering, water gently but deeply. You're not flooding, though. You want moisture to soak through the carbon and compost and settle into the top 5 to 10 centimeters of soil. This zone, it becomes the living layer. In pots, water until you see the first drip from the bottom, then stop. In raised beds, water until the soil feels cool when you press your finger in. And in yards, water slowly for 15 to 20 minutes, not all at once. So, repeat watering only when the soil under the compost feels, just barely damp, not dry. Overwatering actually collapses microbial activity, while underwatering, well, it simply pauses it. The same method, interestingly enough, scales perfectly from containers to open ground. What really makes this trick powerful is its consistency across different growing systems. In containers, the compost layer helps buffer temperature and prevents root stress. When used in raised beds, it creates a nutrient cycling zone that, honestly, replaces the need for frequent feeding, and in yards, it works to rebuild compacted soil, all without digging. For example, a tomato in a pot treated this way often needs watering every 3 to 4 days instead of daily. In raised beds, leafy greens show deeper color within 2 weeks. In yards, earthworms begin appearing within a month because the surface becomes hospitable. This method replaces most fertilizers when done correctly. If you want to boost growth, add small amounts of worm castings mixed into the compost layer at a ratio of 1 part castings to 4 parts compost. For flowering or fruiting plants, add a tablespoon of crushed eggshells per pot or 1 cup per square meter in beds once per season. Liquid feeds become unnecessary because nutrients are released slowly and consistently. Plants grow at a balanced pace instead of being pushed artificially. This soil trick also controls weeds naturally. Weeds need light and disturbed soil. This layered system blocks both. Carbon mulch prevents light from reaching weed seeds, while undisturbed soil keeps dormant seeds buried. Over time, weed pressure drops dramatically. In yards especially, this can reduce weeding by more than half within 1 season. The key is, honestly, just consistency. Reapply compost and carbon every 3 to 4 months or after heavy rain. This works year-round and, actually improves soil the longer you use it. Unlike quick fixes, this method compounds over time. Each layer feeds the next generation of microbes. Soil structure improves. Water infiltration increases. Roots penetrate deeper. After 1 year, soil becomes darker and looser. After 2 years, plants establish faster with less effort. This is how old gardens stay productive without constant input. If this guide helped you rethink how you treat soil, subscribe to Evergreen Garden, share this with another serious gardener, and drop a comment telling us whether you grow in pots, raised beds, or open ground. Gardening gets easier when soil does the work, and this is how you make that happen.